Attached to this lecture, you can find a link to the official Power BI gateway page here. As you see, we have to download such a gateway to our computer. The download is for free, and we have two versions, the just mentioned standard mode gateway for server-related applications and the personal mode for purposes like the one we have. You can scroll down a bit here on this page to find out more about the different application areas of the different gateways. As I said, for our project setup here and also for you to get started, the personal mode gateway is the one to go for. Before we download this gateway though, I want to quickly switch back to the project. Because in here we have this warning window that something went wrong, but actually you can also find out more about your current refresh and gateway settings in a dedicated menu in Power BI Pro. Therefore, we'll close this window now, and instead we'll click onto the three horizontal dots here in the upper right part of the page, go to Settings, and there go down to the actual Settings menu, this one here. In this menu, we can now find an overview of different settings related to Power BI Pro. I don't want to dive too deep here at this stage, but if we go to our datasets option over here, then you can also find information about this failed update, this failed refresh that just took place. We see that this is related to our Pro dataset, and if we scroll down a bit further, we can find information about the current gateway connection. This tells us that we have to make sure that our computer is online, meaning that this computer is running and has internet connection. Otherwise, updating data for the cloud application will be difficult. And therefore, it tells us that we have to add our data source to the Manage Gateways menu, so to say. If we open this menu then, we see that we don't have any data gateways active or installed at the moment. So we can go back here to this menu where we were and scroll down and then basically work on this problem. So as you see, we need such a personal gateway to make this whole update process working. For this, we can go back to the page here and now download the personal mode gateway. This can take a few seconds. Now, after the download finished, just click onto this executable file that we just downloaded. So this will start the gateway installer. Up here, make sure to check out the minimum requirements to make sure the gateway can be installed. But if Power BI Desktop is running on your machine, this shouldn't be an issue. We can change the location where the gateway should be installed. I'll stick to the default one though. Now we accept the terms of use and install that gateway. This again takes a few seconds. Now the installation was successful, and as a next step, we have to enter an email address to use with this gateway. This is not a random email address, it is the email address of your Power BI Pro account. So please enter the corresponding email address here. Then we press Sign In. Then we need to sign into our Power BI Pro account and enter the password once again. And then you should get the confirmation that the gateway is running. In my case, as I regularly use Power BI, I have set up a gateway earlier, therefore I get this warning here, but I simply take over existing data gateways in this case and press Continue. This again can take a few seconds. And now this should be the information that you see in here. The gateway is online and ready to be used. Now, in case this didn't work for you, just re-enter your email address and follow this process again. This is a bug that occurs from time to time, but in the end, this should be the screen you should see. Now, you can untick this improvement box here, just as you prefer, and now we can close this installer. And actually also this window here. Because now I'm back in the settings in Power BI Pro, and with the gateway now being installed and running successfully, if we reload this page, then we still get the warning that the last refresh failed. But if we scroll down now, we first can access this gateway connection menu, and there we get, well, this green text now indicating that the gateway is running successfully. By the way, in case you're not sure about the gateway in general, you can simply press the Windows key on your keyboard and search for gateway. There you should find the corresponding application. If you click onto this now, then you're back in this window we just closed. So in here, you can dive deeper into this gateway in case anything is wrong. As you can see, in our case, the gateway is all set up, so it is working fine. Therefore, we can close this window. But the gateway is installed on this corresponding machine. So you must install it on that machine where your underlying source data is located. Nevertheless, we see that the gateway is running, but down here, we again get some kind of a warning. This can be easily fixed. We'll do this in a few seconds, but one important note at this stage. If we hover over this, corresponding file, you see the location of the file where this source file I want to establish the connection to is located on my machine. This location is known for Power BI Pro because we uploaded the information from the Power BI desktop project. In case you're using one of the attached files in this course, make sure to update the path. I show how this works in the second module of this course before you upload the project to Power BI Pro. So in case the following process is not working for you, make sure to check this, and in case you didn't update the path, you have to do so and then republish the project to Power BI Pro. That's a bit inconvenient at this stage, but it is what it is. This is how Power BI Pro works. So with the path set up correctly, we can now simply go to Edit Credentials and simply press Sign In here. This will just update the data source connection, so to say, and you should get the confirmation that this credential is working now. With that, we can do the same thing for the 3 remaining source files, so just press Sign In here, do it for the third one, and again sign in, and then do it for the last one once again, so let's press Sign In. Now we can go back to our workspace and maybe close this pop-up or these 2 pop-ups. And now maybe let's switch back to the list view here and go to the datasets menu. And then there, if we now again press this Refresh Now button, which previously failed, now we see this loading spinner here, which is a good sign. Once again, this can take a few seconds. As mentioned, this can take a while, so you have to be a bit patient. In the post-production, I'll shorten the loading times a bit, but in real life, it can also take, as I said, some more seconds or also up to 1 or 2 minutes time. Now the loading spinner is gone, and thankfully no warning this time. We just get the last refreshed date, so to say. In our case, the underlying data didn't change, so we can't see any real change, but the refresh date here shows us that we now have up-to-date data in our project. By the way, if I go to content now, you see that the reports, so the underlying reports here, were also updated. For the dashboards, this is not the case though. We can also update dashboards though to reflect the latest information, but not in this My Workspace overview. So this menu doesn't allow us to update it. So you see it here in the settings, no way to update the dashboard. But if we expand our menu again, and then, for example, go to the Pro BIX dashboard, then in the right part here, we have this refresh button. If we click this, then the visual is refreshed. So when going back to our workspace now, we still don't get a confirmation, but the dashboard also was updated. So not perfectly displayed here, but we see that the, refresh date is still not added. So this is not displayed correctly here, but this is how you can also update the dashboard. Now, talking about updates, we also see that we have this refreshed information here, this refreshed column, but we also have this next refresh thing. Well, what is this now? If we again go back to our settings, so settings here, and then again to this settings menu, in here we can go to datasets now once again, and there we don't go to gateway connection, but we go to the scheduled refresh menu down here. In this menu, you can set up a so-called scheduled refresh. This simply means you can define a specific time, for example, on every day. So this would be a daily refresh when the process we just initiated manually, so this refreshing process, is performed automatically. Now, to make sure this works, your computer has to be running, obviously, and has to have an internet connection. Otherwise, the scheduled refresh will fail. But if you know that your source data will update daily and that this updated information should also be reflected in Power BI Pro, then you can do this conveniently with the scheduled refresh option. You can simply click on here, so you can switch this. Now you can configure the refresh frequency, daily or weekly. I'll go with daily here. Now we can set a time zone. In my case, I'm located in Germany, so I'll go with the corresponding time zone here. We can send refresh failure notifications either to the owner of the dataset, which is myself in this case, or to other contacts. So in case the machine is not running, for example, the refresh would fail and we would get updated about that fact. And with that, this is configured. Now we can simply apply this. So the refresh schedule is updated. We will get daily updates. And this is great because we don't have to perform this step manually. So now, if we go back to our workspace again, we can't see any information for the next refresh here on the content page, but in the datasets menu, you see that our next refresh is set for tomorrow. So this is how refreshing works using the personal gateway, either manually or with the scheduled refresh option.